my name is Rita. I'm Richinda, and welcome to #IP series with Rita. So Rita is REEDAH. Anyways, if this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to favorite and subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. And as for my returning listeners, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for always coming through and listening to my podcast. So don't forget to also share, like, and subscribe. Tell your friends about it if you want to be featured on my podcast as well. Do let me know. What we do here is talk about recent intellectual property cases and development globally. This could take the form of copyright, trademark, patent, industrial design, trade secrets, and plant varieties. On today's episode, I have a special guest with me, and we'll be talking about something really interesting that will be of use to developers and designers. So stay tuned, guys. Let's welcome our guest for today. Sammy, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do and what we will be talking about today?
Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Samuel Abu Oluwaseyi, recent law school graduate, and I have a very wonderful interest, an undying interest in intellectual property and data protection. So, like I used to tell people when they ask me to introduce myself, I do write, and I used to watch Harry Potter a lot. So, the idea of creating a fantasy world struck me that how would someone build up such a world as vast as Harry Potter's world, or such a world as vast as that of Lord of the Rings? And the creative part of human hard work, creativity kind of made me appreciate the concept of intellectual property more. So I think it's because of my creative background that made me understand the fact that a lot of work goes into these things, and it should be appreciated. It should be monetized at every point in time. So today I'll be speaking briefly about UI and UX. Hello to my tech brothers and techies listening.
Yay!
So so I'll be talking about UI and UX and how they can be protected through industrial design.
Interesting. Great, fantastic, and wonderful profile. So yeah, let's just get right into our question. So the first one I want to ask is, what is industrial design, and why is it relevant for UI UX designers? Hello, tech guys. This question is very important for you guys, so please pay attention.
Okay, so have you ever seen a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Pepsi?
Sure.
There is a difference. You identify it by their appearance. So basically,
Yes.
an industrial design relates to the appearance of an article, which results from features such as the lines or colors of the articles or its ornamentation. An industrial design may consist of 3D dimensional features such as the shape of an article, or two-dimensional features such as the patterns, the lines, or colors of articles. I know in certain jurisdictions there's been an increase in a kind of two-dimensional industrial designs, and that relates to your graphical user interfaces and icons. So basically, industrial designs helps the consumers, the customers, and in fact, the creative personnels, the UI person, the UX person, to be able to distinguish their articles and protect it. You know, it's relevant to protect the creative ingenuity of these guys. So let me give you an example. Engages in purely digital practice, right? They consider all the visual interactive elements of a product interface. Why a UX designer maps out the process of developing and improving the quality of interaction. So, trying to make this clearer, an industrial design is a way, it's a mode of protecting your IP rights on your colors, on your shapes, on the graphic representation, on the physical representation. And in this context, I'll talk about UI, for example, the icons of Twitter, the icons of Instagram, the icons of Snapchat. These things are protected. You can't just bump out a bird application, a bird drawing or a bird ornamentation and splash it on a white Canva board and turn it to your logo. Come on, Twitter will come knocking at your door and be like, bro, Texas, what are you doing? So you have to be careful. That's what industrial design does. You get
Okay.
so now trying to distinguish the relevance for
Mm.
UI and UX designers. When you talk about UX, for example, now user experience is it's a very common term. So okay, so yeah, this would be a better way to explain it. I use Apple Music, and recently I went to Spotify. So both platforms give you a user feel. What they want you to feel is premium content available to you, and they want you to feel that you can trust them to set up for any kind of music you want, right? That
Yeah.
is the total user experience. When you go on Twitter, the experience is to make you feel connected to different people all over the world by just using the at symbol. If I just go on Twitter now and be like at Barack Obama is tagged, or at Donald Trump, or at Whiskey, or you understand what I mean? So the total user experience is to make you feel connected to those around you. While the user interface in itself are those features that make the experience possible. So the user interface is purely digital practice. You're having to design colors, you're having to put functionality in them, you're having to, make sure that your appearance for the icons, for the features are different from that of other applications. So I
Hmm.
hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does, and it's really, really interesting to hear and learn about this thing. I mean, we learn every day. But what's the essence of industrial design in the software industry?
Oh, interesting. So we all know everyone is going to the tech world now, and even if it's not for the money, which some might argue that they are doing it for the purpose of the good of the world, but let's just assume it's not for the money.
Yeah.
Tech is inevitable.
Hmm.
And for example, in Africa, I was discussing with a friend of mine, we have a phenomenal output and turnout of junior developers buzzing into the industry every single day. This is a creative bank. So 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there was no page stack at Y Combinator, but here we are. They have their logo. 6 years ago or 7 years ago, there was no Flutter Wave. Here we are, they have the logo, Butterfly. Page stack is practically like P showing transactions. So why it's important, yeah, for UI and UX is because design at every point in time sits in the interface between copyright, patent, and trademark. So copyright is briefly the protection of literary work or your musical work. Patent is the protection of the process of or the process through which an invention works out. And then the trademark, of course, is the protection of your trade logo or your service logo. Yeah, so many software elements can be subject to design protection. This includes stuff like your web designs, your pictures, your models, your typeface, Times New Roman, Arial, Narrow, Garamond. I mean, all these typeface that you see on your Microsoft, on your
Yeah.
WPS, you get those things are actually protected. You have your fonts, your icons. Like I said, if you take Instagram icon, put it on white Canva, then give it a name, and you register it, they will come for you. You understand? So It's important because it keeps the credibility of the parent company, it keeps the credibility of the original owner of that work. And I would like to draw a reference from copyright. There's something in copyright that is moral, your moral right, and then you have your economic right. Your moral right is just the fact, or it's just it's an avenue to connect a work to its owner. It's just basically appreciating the fact that someone owns this work. It's recognizing the ownership of a work. And I think this is important because you don't, it will be unfair for someone who has gone through a lot of headache learning UI, learning how to make your user interface much more beautiful, learning how to make the users enjoy the premium feel of their product. So, for example, now if you look at Spotify's user interface, it's very much different from that of Apple Music. Then I think it would be unfair if one company in maybe Honduras or one company in the US picks up Spotify's user interface, gets a lot of shareholders to establish his company, and then just drops that on his platform and start selling. It's going to be totally unfair. So, not to stretch it further, I believe that this industrial design is important to maintain the integrity of the creators of these designs, to maintain the integrity of the developers that work on your user interface, to protect the integrity of the user experience you're trying to build for your product, which is your niche area.
Wow.
You understand?
Yes,
So,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. Is integrity part of the trend we should be looking out for in relation to UI and UX designers?
Well, what I mean by integrity, I feel that yes, because for example, what I mean by integrity now is it relates to the moral right I was talking about, the right to recognition. So
Right.
certain
Okay.
certain certain companies, certain software products, they are big on the premium feel they want you to experience. So, for example, Spotify's user experience, Spotify is big on sharing. Spotify is big on creating a community. From what I've experienced, so they want you to be able to share your music with people. They want you to be able to share your music across different devices at once. So there is something Spotify does where you can connect two phones or two devices to a Wi-Fi or a network, and then you can play the songs from any of the devices, and you can control it from either of them. So you can connect, for example, you can connect your speaker, let's say your JBL speaker, to a network, then you can connect your phone to that network. Then you can always play the song and you can control it from your own phone. Apple Music
That's
doesn't have that. You get? So I could be in my room, the speaker could be in the living room, and I will control the music from there, but I don't want to be disturbed. You get? But Apple Music doesn't do that. Apple Music is big on creating your own identity. They allow you to download songs directly from the album. Spotify is big on, okay, you know what? If we're gonna let our subscribers make money, we must use all their songs. So you can't download one song from the album. You must download the album. But Apple Music, they are big on privacy. They are big on choice. They are big on you making the choices, you having the premium feel of what you really want to. But you know what? You can download the songs separately apart from the album. And where does this lead to with the trend? It helps the company or the software company develop their product in relation to their user experience. The user experience is the goal. That's the goal. Like Taxify wants you to feel safe. Uber wants you to feel safe. That's why they'll put a platform for you to share your trip. That's the goal. So the user interface is to create that button, is to create that feature that you can relate with to share your trip with your friend. So traditionally, UX applies to anything that can be experienced, be it a website, a coffee machine. Sometimes you can speak to it. You can tell Alexa, boil me a coffee. I mean, they could do that. Or to visit a supermarket. Basically, UI refers to the interaction between the user and the product or the service. It considers all the different elements that shape this experience. So we are seeing a growing number of skills applied to mobile applications and integrated into software products. So now all the companies want you to appreciate Internet of Things, and the only way Internet of Things can really work well is when their user interfaces. For example, you have an application that you can ring your laptop from, or you have an application that you can use to lock your car, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's trying to basically the trend now is to create icons, create interfaces, create features, create apps that would interface between the company, the customer, and the product. So the next time you buy a Tesla vehicle and they tell you can press a button on your phone to wipe out the snow out of it, that is user interface to give you that premium user experience.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay. So why is it important to protect the look and feel of these GUIs, icons, and other visual indicators?
Okay, so apart from the fact that, I mean, every company that exists wants to make money.
Yeah.
You get, so commercialization is very, very key. It facilitates marketing and commercialization. So people love Apple. They like seeing the Apple logo. You get, Apple puts it on the shirt, bam, sell it as merchandise. That's fine. It also provides exclusive rights. So Apple could file a design patent on one of their features or one of their icons, and it's exclusive just to them. You get, so it also protects their industrial design rights, of course, making it exclusive to them. Okay, sorry, I needed to repeat that to make it clear. So exclusivity in the sense that once it's protected, anybody that wants to use it must seek the consent of the owner of those designs or those application logos and icons. It is also a revenue generator. It's important because industrial design rights can be sold or licensed to another enterprise, which will then generate revenues for the rights owners. And I think it's because when it comes to transfer of your interest in copyright or in IP generally, you can decide to make it exclusive and you can decide to make it non-exclusive. So you can decide to say, oh, we're going to transfer the right to use these icons for a certain period of time, but it will be exclusive just to you and your operations within this region. Or you could say, okay, you know what, we're going to transfer this icon to you, but it won't be exclusive because we have people from other regions that would love to use it too. So it won't be exclusive just for you, but it's going to be exclusive for you in this region. So to make it clearer, we could say a company can help build a certain template for your user interface, and the company tells company B that, you know what, we're going to grant you the right to use this template for your product. However, it won't be exclusive to you, but we can let you use it for the Africa region alone. Then the same company gets a contract from company D, and then they go on to them and tell them, you know what, we've also transferred a similar rights to company B, but yours will be for the region of Asia. So that way they can negotiate their terms and also make money from that. The appearance of a product. So yeah, basically the appearance of a product can be a key factor in the consumer's purchase decision. The success or failure of a product may rest at least partially on its look. That's very key. Go and check Apple products. Therefore, to successfully commercialize a product, an enterprise generally invests time and money to innovate, develop, and create articles with new or original design. And if you, to prove this further to you, go and check Twitter. They've recently been updating the field. They've been updating certain features on the platform. You get, so in all of these, like I said, it helps to maintain the integrity of the product and its associated value. So that's why till now, if you are bothered as to why Twitter will not drop the edit button, well, apart from the fact that everybody is clamoring for it, which brings about the economic rule of supply and demand. So them, they also believe in the community, you get the privacy, the sharing. So you can't just come up and then drop things that are so detrimental that will incite certain things, and then just suddenly edit it. So who are they going to blame? What are they going to hold for that? You get, so basically those are the important factors you must consider when you are building up your user interfaces, your icons, your graphics, and all of that. Money, and the total user experience too. It's important to maintain the integrity of your product.
What IP strategy can a UI or a UE designer adopt?
Okay, what strategy can they adopt
Yes.
to protect it? Oh, okay, this is interesting. So, primarily, when you want to design stuffs and you're working with software engineers and developers, the first one you can go to is your copyright approach, because you can copyright, you cannot copyright an idea, only an expression of it. So most times there's always a coding or there's always a code background to the user interface, especially when it's a functional work. So you can't copyright the idea of a clickable button, yeah, but you could copyright the artistic design of a specific button. So, for example, we have the home button for, okay, no, that one's under the patent. So, for example, when you look at your applications, there is a particular app that brings out all other applications on the phone. It's like a menu application. Once you click on it, then it now shows you all the other applications. Yeah. So that artistic field, for some, they could draw it as a circle. For some, they could use a triangle. For some, they could use a scroll. Some could use hexagon, and then imprint certain artistic work on that icon itself. So you can copyright the artistic work of that icon. I hope that's understood.
Yeah.
Then the other mode you can use is trademark. And of course, trademark most times is for your trade logos or your service logo. So, I mean, everyone knows Twitter. Once you see this is Twitter, once you see Facebook, you know this is Facebook. If you see Stripe, Paystack, Apple Music, Spotify, you know that, okay, this is Apple Music. So when you trademark your icons, they are specifically rendered as an identifier for the UI designer or for the UI company. And also, even for third parties that help you to design these things, they could trademark these logos, so you would have to meet them and then get a license to use those logos. Then you could also go through the process of registered industrial design, which is the one I'm talking about basically. And then you could also go through a design patent. So the idea of a design patent is a design patent provides a limited term of protection for the visual, non-functional characteristics of a product. So it can cover a shape, a color, and pattern of a product or only a portion of that product. So it can Designs Act. The last possible means can also be through unregistered industrial designs. So when you just continually, although in some jurisdictions, yeah, industrial design laws can be granted without you registering, and it can be limited to certain scopes called unregistered industrial design. So it's like you being known to be using certain designs, and over time the courts would reasonably allow you to protect such because you've been accustomed or you've been associated with the use of such designs. Yeah, so those are the methods and
So,
the
so those are the strategies that an EU and UI and UE designer can opt for.
yes.
Okay.
And
So next question.
I also love to add one thing. For example, when we talk about user experience now, user experience is not just for digital products. So we could also put user experience under trade secrets
Okay.
to protect the process, the strategies, the the structure in which the company aims to meet the user experience goal. Because I feel that when you're talking about user experience here, you have certain policies, certain goals, certain plans in place, certain structures in place. So for you to protect those things, you can actually trademark them too.
Fantastic.
Sorry, I said trademark instead of trade secret. Sorry. You can register them as trade secrets too, just to avoid any form of confusion there.
Okay, what's the difference between a user experience and user interface design? I think you briefly touched on that, but can you just expatiate a bit?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I had to also really clear that up when I was, reading through and trying to understand it all. So essentially, UX applies for a service product. The user experience is the goal, is the niche. So I was talking with a friend of mine that's into branding, and we were just discussing about all these companies and what they do with the brands and all. So, for example, a brand like Volvo is committed to safety. So everything around their products revolves around safety. That's why their logo has a seatbelt on it. Yeah, safety. Some other brands like Apple, they are big on creativity, yeah, and aesthetics. So you see a lot of Apple products, it's so sleek, it's so slim, and it's also efficient. So let's go back to software now. Facebook community. So they have a lot of features there that you can share, you can like, you can repost. Okay, so the user experience applies to anything that can be experienced, from your website to, like I said, to your coffee machine, or for example, when you enter a store like Spa or ShopRite, they want you to feel the ambience of coming to a store where you can make choices, look through the price tags, you can experience different products in the catalog of rows. You get, so basically user experience refers to the interaction user and the product or a service, and it considers all the elements that shapes that experience. So a user experience personnel can work in both the real companies and also for software companies. So user experience is not limited to software products. User experience is actually what every company, every entrepreneur wants the consumers to feel from the use of their product or from their service. Now, when it comes to user interface design is its complement. Yeah. So for software development now, and for software companies, this is the look, the feel, the presentation, and interactivity of the product. How easy is it to use your product? Unlike UX, user interface design is a strictly digital term. So UI design considers the look, feel, and it's all about making sure that the user interface of a product is as intuitive as possible. So, for example, let's just try to bring this to Zoom. Zoom is a platform. The user experience for Zoom is to make you communicate with your loved ones and not feel the effect of distance. It's going to work with your internet and provide you the experience of seeing your partner or your friend through your screen. So there is this visual experience there of communicating. Now, the UI, the user interface design, would now tell us, okay, how will your screen be designed? How will your screen be managed to be able to not just show the video of the person you're seeing, but to also mirror your own video, and at the same time, the option of the mute button to control your mic. Oh, and then, for example, if it's a group, to provide you with the option of kicking out those that will not mute their mic in the process of having a group call, and all of those. So the user interface is a means to an end. And that end is to guarantee a wonderful user experience for your product.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. So can you list any brand out there, whether Nigerian or foreign, that uses UX or UI design, and how they have been able to commercialize and exploit their intellectual property?
Okay, so okay, so for this question, I think basically all companies use UI. Service
Okay.
companies that develop products use UI. But I came across a certain one. They call themselves Clay Global. So basically, what Clay Global does is they are a UI UX entity. So basically, all the workers there are UI UX designers, and they are always it's like hiring. So companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon actually hires them to work on their platform. So Clay Global will now lift their own UI UX template and then place it on Amazon's platform to help Amazon create a user experience, to help them create a wonderful user interface. And for things like that, there's always a contract of the transfer of intellectual property. So most often than not, you would see these companies working on the UI UX projects. Sometimes it could be royalties from the sales Amazon will, or the sales Google will make from its ads and all of that. So you have these UI UX companies, just the way you have UI UX engineers that personally enroll in tech firms. You have these UI UX companies that the big techs come to meet and then outsource projects to them to help them work on it, and then at the same time pay them their certain fees. So I do not know, because most of these contracts are privy to the parties. But one thing I'm sure of is that
Yes.
Clay Global always maintain its so Clay Global always maintain the rights to recognition. So when you check their platform, they will tell you that, oh yes, we're a UI UX company. We've done this and this for certain people, and still we are letting the world know that yes, we did this. It is our work, and we have the right to be associated with the work that we've done for these people. You get so, and another way to
That's
put
smart.
it is, yeah. That's of course they have to protect their interests to show you that, oh, we have big guys on our portfolio, so don't think that we're just here trying to keep things together. No, they are a big firm, so they let you know they are big firms. And I think another
Yeah.
way companies do this is the features. They maintain protection of their features. For example, the two big social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, although we can say Instagram is still under Facebook, but there is a considerable difference between them. And for example, there was this feature we saw on Snapchat, the stories, yeah? And then the next thing we are seeing it on WhatsApp, then we are seeing it on Fleets on Twitter. Originally, you probably don't know who developed those, but the use of those features to create a wonderful user experience, to go through a lot of licensing and contracts and all of that. So I think this what the tech firms do anyway is just to outsource independent UI UX personnel, because like I said, these independent UI UX personnel can decide to award the interest non-exclusively. So it's better to go through that route than going through an already established firm that would, of course, definitely not transfer the rights of those designs to you. So with the rise of independent UI US companies, which I would advise, is good because you have a lot of non-competing companies coming to meet you to seek for your service. So that's how
Wow.
they get it done.
Yeah. So are there any misconceptions about design protection in the UI and the UX industry?
Oh yes. Okay, apart from the fact that people don't like to spend money, so they tell you, oh, it's expensive. And I'm always thinking that if you really value your product, why not to spend money on it to protect it than to leave it out there for someone to poach, and get an undue advantage on it. Another conception is people say only big companies need design protection. Although generally
Imagine.
people argue that only big companies need IP protection. But then,
Wow.
yeah, people actually have that argument too, that oh, they are small, so why do they need IP protection? Why it's not a must? Nobody knows them yet. But they don't
Oh,
know. They don't know that one competing firm is over there trying to get a particular feature right in their product. And you go and then do your what do they call this thing? Pitch deck. And then they see
yeah.
your work and you didn't sign any NDA, and before you know it, bam, your work is on a profile, is on a product they are building somewhere in or Brazil, and you're wondering that okay, this is too specific. You get, so it's important. I
Okay.
do believe that software cannot be patented, which I think it's not true. You can have your design patent for that, and then you could also have your copyright to protect the codes. So
With patenting software in Nigeria, it's a bit more technical. It's doable, but it's technical. So it's not like it's not possible. Then you also have to consider the jurisdiction in question, what is applicable, which is why you need to have these conversations with your IP lawyer. Have an IP lawyer on your retainer. Very important, guys.
yes,
Uh,
yeah.
any other misconception?
Okay, so there's also the one where people think, well, companies or software engineers think that once they do a work, automatically their company owns the work. So you are a UI UX company, and then you're asked to do a project, and you just automatically feel that, oh, your company is the one that owns the work. Mind you, there's a contract. You have to look to your contract and make sure that all intellectual property is expressed and is expressly transferred to your company. Otherwise, you run the risk of having to deal with the parent company you're working with. And the same goes vice versa. So you're a tech company and you need certain guys to work on your design aspect. I think, yes, you could have the right to commission, but make sure that it's expressly stated there. Fine, you commission the work, you give them the expenses to do the work. Fine, that's all good. You could presume you automatically own it. Yes, you have the backing of the law, but expressly state it in your contract that okay, that expressly transfers the rights of those designs to your own tech startup company. So these are things that you should always like. Um, the old say you must always get in touch with your IP lawyer to clarify. IP contracts are not contracts you just look through and just breeze through, because I mean intellectual property is very, very important. It should be protected, and then you should have the right. You should have the rights to enjoy the economic rights too. So those are the things for now.
Okay, so what we're wrapping up right now. It's it's I've learned a lot, but then what final words do you have for UI and UX designers? Like, what should they do going forward? It's not an advice, but then what final words would you give to the designers out there?
Okay, so first of all, as a UI UX designer, you should always understand that your work is unique and your work should be protected. Do not downplay the value of your work.
Hmm.
And if you're entering into any contract with anybody that relates to the use of your product, use of your work, always make sure you have an IP lawyer to advise you and to guide you through it. Do not
Thank you.
let any firm make you feel like your UI or your UX structure is ordinary. Yes, that's
Hmm.
what they would say, but because it's so valuable, that's why they're coming to you. So please, always appreciate your work and feel free to explore these terms and even downright to contractual obligations. your IP from there, from basic agreements. If you don't want to go about doing at least from the basic agreement of, okay, you know what, I reserve the right to these designs, or I have certain percentage of royalty from sales and all of that. I mean, a tech firm could tell you to design their landing page for portrait of a product. That is something. You understand? So you can always work around royalties, okay, outright fees, but most importantly, value your work. And if you're entering into any contract with a firm or a tech firm or whatever it is, always have a seasoned IP lawyer to advise you through.
Thank you so much, Samuel. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so
for
much.
this episode. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to share this.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, we have come to the end of today's episode. Thank you to everyone who's listening or who is actually subscribed to my podcast. I hope you all learned something at the end of the day. And so we've come to the end of today's IP series episode. I mean, I had a blast with Samuel talking on IP protection for UI and UX design. I hope you guys enjoy listening to this episode. For my tech bros and sis, I hope you find this really educative and start to do things the right way. I mean, you need to tap into the IP aspect of what you guys do. But in the interim, please support my podcast so you keep seeing my podcast on Spotify. If you'd like to be a guest as well, please send me an email to ipseriesinfo@gmail.com. If you have any topic you want me to talk about, always send me. You can always send me a DM or an email. Well, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until the next episode, guys, keep subscribing, keep favoriting my podcast, and lots of love. Cheers. Bye.